hope you are having an amazing Sunday today. So today we have a special guest. Hello.
Hello.
Okay, baby. So today, I just want to talk about careers. So I know that in South Africa in particular, it's September and therefore it's application season. So for those who are in grade 12, it means that they are getting ready to to send through their applications and all of that for next year. And I know that, for some people, this is a more stressful time than most because we are different. Some people always knew what they wanted to be before they were even born. And some people, like myself, even this time of the year when I was in grade 12, I had absolutely no idea what I want to do with my life. So if you were like me, maybe then this video is exactly, if you are like me, then maybe this video is exactly for you. So first of all, I just want to really, the main crux that I want to get to is whether it's good to take a gap year or not. Because so I'm just gonna share my experience of what I really think about that based on my own struggles that I had to overcome throughout my university years. So I've divided this into like a couple of sections. So the first one, we will talk about why I didn't take a gap year, because I didn't take a gap year, but honestly I wish I had, and I'll tell you why. So that's section number one. And then another section would be why I think taking a gap year is a good idea. And then the last section would be how did not taking a gap year actually affect me? Actually, how did me going straight to university affect me? And the last one, actually, the actual last one, when is it that I discovered what I really want to do with my life? At which point did I discover that I want to be a writer, which is what I do professionally right now and what I actually love doing? So let's get right into it. So, first of all, is taking a gap year a good idea? Okay, so now I'll tell you first of all why I didn't take a gap year. Well, most of all, it was because of pressure. Pressure that I put upon myself and pressure from family. Like with my family, it was never really like a spoken thing to say that, no, you have to go to university and all of that. Not necessarily, but my mom always had like very big dreams for me, I've always been a very, an overachiever. I've always studied very hard. I've always made sure that I do really well at school. And, I think if you are from, a village, you would know that most of the time, especially in my village, parents would always advise you to take science when you go to high school. And that's exactly what I did, because my mom was saying that when you do science, then you have a whole lot of career paths that you can choose from. So that's exactly what I did. And I was actually good at it. I even got a distinction in my physical sciences in my matric, which is grade 12 for those who are in different countries. So there was a lot of pressure from my mom, actually my family, because they expected a whole lot from me, right? To do great, to have a great career, to be, to have a great job at the end of the day. And I wanted the same thing for myself. And I wanted the same thing for myself, right? So there was that whole lot of pressure. And there was also pressure from myself. The pressure that if I don't go to university, then people would think that I'm not smart enough. So if you've always been like a very competitive person like myself, you would know what I'm talking about. It's always important that you come up on top when you are someone like me, right? And therefore, I put that whole pressure on myself because I needed to prove everyone that I'm the it girl. And another thing is that I knew the circumstances at home. So my parents struggled to put me through boarding school. Financially they struggled. And therefore, when I was given an opportunity to go to university, like when I finished high school, I knew right away that, hey, you need to go get a degree, get a job, so that you can actually help your parents. They've slaved hard enough to get you through school, you know? And I knew that, like, I'm not gonna have anything handed to me on a silver platter. I knew my parents' financial restraints, and I just really thought that I could be my family's savior, right? Another thing is that my peers, like, I had a whole lot of peers who were around my area, who were already, people who finished matric just before me, or people who finished matric at the same time with me, or any number of those reasons. All these people, a lot of people were just really, lazing around in the village. Some people had kids, some people were now stuck with drinking a whole lot of alcohol. And I mean, obviously, I don't know the circumstances that led them to that kind of life, but I knew that I would not want to find myself in that situation. So those were my reasons why I could not, for the love of me, take a gap year. But now, did I actually know what I wanted to do in university? Absolutely not. I knew that I was doing sciences, right? Guys, at some point, I don't know if you've watched this film called Inhuman. There's a film called Inhuman, and there's this scientist that actually injected a lizard, and then that lizard becomes this gigantic monster that kills them. So when I watched that, so I remember that film when I was trying to figure out what I want, like what kind of scientist I wanted to be. And I was like, actually, I need to research what those scientists were called. That's what I want to do. But now that I think about it, that's crazy. That's so crazy. Like, it doesn't make sense at all. So we're gonna go to the second part of this video, which is why I think a gap year is worth it. Okay, so I've already mentioned that when I went to university, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. Honestly, I think that with a gap year, actually throughout high school, it's a matter of figuring out what is it that you are good at and what is it that you actually love. And I think a gap year, honestly, oh my gosh, I really wish that I took a gap year. I feel like a gap year is a time, especially for someone who doesn't know what they want to do. Guys, wasting years of your life in university doing something that you don't even understand, or doing something that you hate, it's not worth it, honestly. So for me, I mean, obviously I ended up finding what I wanted to do in the end, but when I started, I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I dived in head first and took my passion career. And I mean, at some point, we will talk about whether you should follow passion or money. We will. It's a very hot topic because, like you can see, I am content with where I am in life right now. But we will talk about that because there are advantages and disadvantages to choosing either or path. But anyway, I went in headfirst into university to do dramatic arts, which is a career that I actually changed. So I changed my courses in the beginning of the year when I went to university, and I did dramatic arts. And the reason why I did dramatic arts is because I wanted to be an actress, and I just felt like there's nothing other than acting that I would like to do with my life, and that's what I did, right? But I really didn't know what to expect in the course that I chose. So what am I saying? All I knew was that I wanted to be an actress, but I didn't know, like, what is it that the course entails, Am I only going to be doing acting the whole time? Am I going to be doing any other course? And, like, is this really 100% what I want to do for the rest of my life? So what am I trying to say? I didn't count my costs when I got into the course, right? And I didn't take time out to figure out what is it exactly that I wanted to do, like 100%, 100%. I mean, I wouldn't change anything really. I wouldn't change doing the course that I did. But if I was able to take a gap year, I would go back to take that gap year to figure it out and still did the same course that I did. But yeah, so the main thing is that I hadn't figured out what I wanted to do. I hadn't researched it, none whatsoever. And I think that with the gap year, you are able to kind of figure out what is it that you want to do with your life. You are able to have more time outside of the pressures of school to actually do research, without the pressure of everyone telling you that you have to achieve it. Like, you have to achieve this, you have to get this marks, you have to do this, you have to please your parents, you have to please your teachers, you have to please yourself. Guys, a gap year is a time to discover yourself. That's what I think. A gap year is a time for you to figure out what is it that you want without pressure. Oh my God, without pressure. I mean, you can always just go and be a tailor at shop at sorry. You can always go and be a tailor at any supermarket or any shopping store, or go do any other thing while you are, or go waitress while you are trying to figure that out. But it's better when there isn't a whole lot of pressure behind you, right? And then let's go to the most important section of this, and we'll talk about, now we're going to be talking about how not taking a gap year actually affected me. How going into my chosen career without the research, without counting my costs. And when I say counting costs, I don't mean money. I mean tabulating, your pros and cons, and really making sure that your pros are actually overweighing your cons, you know? So, what did me going head first and not actually taking time out to think this through do to me? Because, like I said to you, I amended my application from microbiology. I don't know if I actually mentioned this, but I amended my application from microbiology to dramatic arts in January of 2012 when I was starting university in 2012 in February. So clearly I didn't have enough time for all of this, to make these big decisions and to count costs, right? So, number one, this is how it affected me. I had a whole lot of trouble sleeping. I was so stressed out, guys. 4 years of my life, I was so stressed out. I didn't know what's gonna happen when I finished university. I didn't know whether I was gonna get a job. I felt like I'm gonna be a disappointment to my parents if they pay money for me to go to university, and then at the end of the day, I don't have anything to show for it. I felt like it became very clear when now I see different kind of actors that acting is a career, and it's also a very competitive career. And I felt like, oh my gosh, what if I actually don't make it? I started having a whole lot of self-doubt and insecurities and all of that, which probably is the case with any chosen career, really. And number two, because of so much stress that I had, I started being very forgetful. Guys, university years for me were very difficult. I became very forgetful to a point of getting lost. There was a time when I came back from church on a Sunday afternoon, and I was literally 2 minutes away from, like 2 to 5 minutes away from where I was staying. And so I came with the guys from my church. They tend, because I was very close to where I stay, they tend to go to their respective destinations, and I had to go to my place, and immediately I blacked out. I could not recognize where I was. So this is the route that I've been using this whole time, but for the first time I didn't know where I was. I had so much stress when I was in university. I remember a friend of mine was doing psychology. There was a time when I was actually consulting with her. I'm like, friend, I don't know what's going on. I have constant headaches. I'm always anxious. Ugh, guys, it was really difficult. Mentally, it was really difficult, and I probably should have seen like a therapist or something because I really think I needed it when I was there. Yeah, fear crippled me. Yo, fear crippled me. It not only crippled me, it crippled me. I was crippled by fear to a point of to a point where my mind just couldn't take it. I just felt like there's no way out. And I had already started, and I was very ashamed to start another career. And this is not because I didn't love what I was doing. I was just very scared about the career prospects of it. And also because for the first time, because I had always thought that I wanted to be an actress, but when I actually went into the course, now I was confused as to whether I actually ever wanted to be an actress to start off with. So can you imagine that amount of stress and people asking me, what is it that you're going to do when you are done with university? And it just felt so stupid for me to say to people that I'm going to be an actress. Oh my gosh. It was difficult, okay? It was really difficult. And I really think that, like, had I went in 100% sure, had I went in convinced myself that I'm doing the right decision, I'm taking the right decision, convinced myself that the career path that I have chosen is the right path for me, I would have been confident enough to answer all the questions that were thrown at me. But because I was unsure myself, the questions crippled me with fear, right? And this is why it's important to be 100% sure about what you want to do and be convinced enough for you to be able to convince other people. I wasn't convinced enough for me to be able to convince other people. Okay. Yo. Okay, so I've already talked about living in fear. Okay. So, when did I discover that I want to be a screenwriter? How did we jump from being an actress to being a screenwriter? Okay, so one of my majors was screenwriting. So I had a major, acting major, and I had screenwriting major and other compulsory things. But yeah, and another major which was performing arts management. But I discovered that I don't like marketing much because it was more towards marketing with that one, or project management and all of that. But with screenwriting, I finally found my footing in my final year of university. Initially, when I chose screenwriting, it was because I thought it was an easy way out. So I thought it was an easy career to choose. They did not show me flames for undermining it. Flames! But anyway, I then I chose screenwriting. So now I was getting my foothold in screenwriting, and I was now starting to enjoy it thoroughly. Oh my god, I was starting to enjoy it, and for the first time, actually, also I was doing really well. Me and my lecturer were getting well, very well in my final year. I was doing really well, more than most of my classmates, especially in the last, yeah, in the last semester of my final year. So at that time, we were doing TV writing, and that's when I realized that actually I want to be a TV writer. I want to be a TV screenwriter. And so basically to write for soapies and TV series as opposed to film. So that's when I discovered what I wanted to do. And for the first time, I started attending workshops and networking and actually just really being resolved in the career path that I have chosen. In fourth year, this is like 1, 2, 3, 4 of stressful years. In fourth year, that's when I discovered what I wanted to do. So now for some people, it takes a shorter time for them to discover what they want to do, even if they go head first into careers that they haven't really researched. For some people like me, it takes a whole 4 years. So how do we then I really think that a gap year is very important to eliminate having to go through those 4 years of uncertainty, of fear, of all of these things, because in that gap year you get to really discover yourself, your strengths, your weaknesses. You get to research, you get to do a whole lot of things. So if I had to go back and take a gap year, would I do it? Absolutely. I tell my cousins who are going to university, I tell my sister, like I tell them the truth when they ask me for advice, especially the ones that are very confused about what they want to do. I tell them, take a gap year, baby. Take a gap year. But don't use that gap year to idle. Use it to discover what is it that you really, really want to do with your life. So, am I regretful of the career path that I've chosen? Absolutely not. Am I grateful for everything that happened during those 4 years? Absolutely. I wish things didn't happen the way they did, but I'm glad that they did, because by the end of my 4th year, I was convinced of what is it that I want to do with my life, and I went right. I went into it with my eyes open, and I went into it with so much conviction. So, yeah, I really think that a gap year is the way to go. If, only if, you are confused about what you want to do. Okay. So, would I go back and do things differently if I was given a chance? Honestly, I would. Given my situation, I would definitely take a gap year. If I was given another chance, I would take a gap year and really explain to my parents why I need to take a gap year and do right by me. So now, if you are like, because I know a friend of mine always wanted to be a lawyer, and she knew right away that she wanted to be a lawyer. If you are someone like that, amen, just go for it. Go do your degree and finish, and you will be my attorney one day. Like, my friend is going to be my attorney one day, because ever since we were young, she's always told me that she wants to be a lawyer. So that's a completely different case. But if you are like me, guys, and you are absolutely confused right now, if by the end of this year you are still confused, please. People waste time in university changing courses every single year because they're still trying to figure out what is it that they want to do. There's more pressure to make that decision and probably make the wrong decision when you are already in university compared to when you are in a relaxed environment where you don't have any pressure from anyone and from yourself. So, yeah, I hope this video helps you to make the right choice. Whether it's you going straight into university, because that's not a bad thing, it worked for me, or to take a gap year if you want to do things differently. But it's really up to you. I just wanted to give you the information for you to be able to make your right decision, your truth. All right, see you in the next video. I love you guys. Oh, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Let us get to 1,000 subscribers. We are currently on 600 subscribers, and thank you so much, guys. You guys are, oh my gosh, I love you guys.